Which one are we doing first?
We'll do 8 and then 7.
All right.
So we'll do Blade Runner first, I guess,
All right.
if that's cool with you.
That is totally cool with me.
Okay, these I have a feeling are going to be short. For some strange reason, the closer we get to number 1,
Yeah.
the less I have to say about things.
Because you just love them, and it's emotional and not. Don't you think that's it?
Part of it. I think yours are more an emotional connection than mine are. Like Predestination, when we get to that one, is a very easy example. But anyway.
All right, hold on. Can we just? I just need to respond to a text.
Laura.
Shush, 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 shush.
You need to be
All right.
ready.
It's my sister.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. You're all
Excellent.
situated. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Hello, one. Once again, Editing Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm Laura.
And a little baby clap. Clap.
Did you say clap?
I did. I said
Okay.
clap and I clapped.
I like it.
Because it's a baby clap. It doesn't make any noise.
Okay, that's why. Makes sense.
All right, so we're here to talk about Darryl's Top 20, number 8, which is a classic sci-fi film called Blade Runner. I'm going to acknowledge up front, there are multiple versions of Blade Runner that exist. Technically, there are 8 of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Only 4 or 5 were ever released to the public. The others were like screen edits, like
Okay.
get a bunch of people in, what do you think of this edit kind of thing. But yes, there are 4 or 5 that exist out there. I watched the final cut, so I don't know which one you watched.
I do not know which one I watched, but I watched the one where it was not clear about Harrison Ford.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll get into that.
Yeah, so I think it was the original
The theatrical release?
theatrical release, yeah.
Did it have the unicorn dream in it?
No,
Okay, then yes, absolutely.
I've heard of it, but I didn't see it in this movie.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, so number 8. I love a really well done sci-fi movie. I will watch bad sci-fi merely because it's sci-fi. It's a genre that I gravitate to. I grew up reading it, fantasy as well, but in particular, visually, I tend to go for sci-fi. I like it, and I give a lot of leniency, even though sci-fi movies tend to be like a lot of horror movies. They just get churned out, and a lot of them are just schlocky and bad.
Fair.
This one, however, is not. So, Blade Runner was released in 1982, directed by Ridley Scott from a screenplay by Hampton Fancher and David Peoples. Stars Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, Sean Young, Edward James Olmos, Daryl Hannah, and William Sanderson. It is an adaptation of Philip K. Dick's 1968 novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. This was nominated for multiple awards at multiple different festivals across the country. Won some things mostly for like science fiction editing and effects and things like that, because in 82 these were groundbreaking effects.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but for me, they still even hold up. There's nothing that, I mean, there are some scenes where you're like, okay, that's obviously an effect. But back then when they were doing far more practical effects than visual effects, the visual effects that they did were usually like light tricks. And in particular, this one has a very kind of Close Encounters feel as you watch the police cars and everything going through the sky. It's got that like kind of halo around it, all of which was incredibly intentional.
I thought the production design was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was gorgeous.
Far ahead of its time. The film itself was ahead of its time when it was released, but Ridley was riding off Alien fame, so he was pretty much do anything you want. This did not do well in the box office.
I heard that.
Critics absolutely panned it, hated it. It almost instantly became a cult classic. Like
Right.
the people who loved it and got it just latched on and held onto it forever, which I think rightly so.
It's interesting for something to go from critically panned, cult classic, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But then to go to critically well received,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen very often.
Correct.
To make that full circle.
Yeah, critics will come back up sometimes afterwards and be like, I don't know what I was thinking back then.
Yeah.
I was in a bad headspace, whatever.
Mhm.
I just, things had not caught up. I didn't recognize how groundbreaking this movie was or how well crafted it was, all sorts of things. But yeah, this got panned a lot. Which was also kind of surprising because Harrison was starting the rise of his fame. Like he'd already been Han Solo. I think Indiana Jones had come out at this point, so he was definitely riding the upward wave. But yeah, it was not a commercial success by any means. But Why do I like this one in particular? Ooh, excuse me. For me, a well-crafted, well-told science fiction story will get me every time. And like a lot of other films, fantasy genre films, you have to establish the world, and that world has to be believable. And that is, I think, one of the biggest strengths of Blade Runner, is it establishes that world. You understand it, you're living it, you're breathing it, you can see the different things that are happening, you get the dynamics of things without even a lot of being told things. You're told so much visually, and then you have a story that happens. It starts out right away with the scroll in the beginning, which in a lot of sci-fi films is necessary to ground you, like,
Set the world up.
here's what's going on, now enjoy this tale. So I never mind those unless they're like way too lengthy.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't too much. It wasn't too much.
No. So right away you're starting out, we got these, we understand what it is, the world is, global warming has clearly had its impact on this planet. Everything is super dark, super dreary. It rains for over half of the film just to help create that atmospheric tension. And then we're off on the story. And the story is a very slow kind of build. It's essentially a detective story, but not a whodunit. It's just we need to go find people. So the end of the story, I think, works incredibly well. But again, for me, the biggest impact of this is just the world that you inhabit while you're doing this. Advertisements all over the place. The world itself is a multi-layered world, in that, not like nowadays while we have airplanes and things, when you walk through a city street you can look up and see buildings, but you don't see a lot of activity. In this world there's activity on every level, because you have cars going by, you have big floating blimps that are advertising things. It is just a very busy and distracting kind of world. So the world building is immaculate in this. Once that tone is set, you're in for the world building, you see it. Every other scene does still keep enhance and bring back the world that you're actually living in as it's telling the story. The story itself is fine. It's just a hunt 'em down kind of tale, which neither good nor bad, but it is one that's slowly given out to you in a little bit so that you can follow all the way through, and I like that. It's not super in your face, it's just follow the characters, figure things out, watch him discover things as they go. I'll talk about the performances in a second, but that's my start for why I like this. Anything you want to jump in on?
So I have never seen Blade Runner before.
Really? First time?
First time watching it, and
Okay.
I've heard lots about it.
Sure.
I pretty much knew the story, and I knew the controversy around Harrison Ford and his character, and what was his character, and I kind of knew the plot.
Major spoilers?
Major spoilers for me and for our audience. But so I kind of went in with expectations. And I think that I would have enjoyed it more had I not had those expectations. I think I knew too much going in, unfortunately. Sure. The things I loved about it are the things that you were talking about, which is the production value, the world building, the special effects, the practical effects. It's very interesting because it was 1982, and it could be, except for the flying cars, it could be like Hong Kong or Kyoto or some like major Asian city now with all of the buildings and the structure.
Yep.
And so it's almost like they foretold what those, Dubai or something, what it was going to look like with all of those skyscrapers right on top of each other. So I got that definite feel. I loved the rain and the cloudiness and the kind of gloom and doom, and everything was so close. Everybody was close, and everything was, it felt very claustrophobic. So I loved the sense and the feel. The story itself didn't move quite fast enough for me. And I don't know if that was because it was billed to me as an action movie.
Oh.
And it wasn't an action movie.
No, not really.
I think I expected it to be a fast-moving sci-fi thing, other than what you described it as, which is a detective story set in a different world. And the world they built was fantastic. I think it's all on me and what my expectations were. It was a little too slow for me and a little bit just not what I was expecting. And that's on me.
And unfortunately, when people, and this happens all the time with films, like when someone builds a build up,
Yes.
you're expecting a lot from it, which
Yeah.
is why I just stop paying attention. When someone's like, this is great, don't say anything more, because you're going to ruin it when I see it. My
Exactly.
expectations are going to be so high that it won't be the same.
Way too high, exactly. And also, I think the other piece is just, and I'm glad you're going to get into the characters and the how they were played, because I am more character driven, I think, than even plot driven, and so I didn't have a lot to hang on to with some of these characters, although the performances were fantastic. And I do want to get into that, but I want to give you the head start first.
Yeah, this is definitely not a character piece on, say, like a Rob Reiner film, where characters are first and foremost.
Exactly.
This is story and atmosphere, world. This is a story set within a world, that's its push and its draw.
And the atmosphere was great.
Yeah.
The way they built it was fantastic.
It does, and this was in the writing of the original, because I read the novel as well, which is, they definitely flushed out some things, so it's not a direct adaptation, but it's pretty close. The idea behind it is the exploration of what it actually means to be alive, to be human. Because you have replicants that they've had multiple generations of them. They look human, they act human, they have everything. They're basically built with organic material, but they are technically machines.
Right.
And the latest generation, the Nexus 6, only lasts for 4 years, but they don't know that until later. And so the idea becomes, what does it really mean to become human? For example, memory. If you have memory, is that something that is generated through your experience? Come to find out, not in this particular world, because to make them act and think and be able to feel more human, they implant memories in them, which is, hooray for science.
Yeah. But also, I really did like that whole 4-year time frame and the conversation that I think it was Harrison Ford and Edward James almost had about, kind of like, we all have an expiration date.
Yeah.
Everybody has an expiration date. They just happen to know theirs is 4 years. People have expiration dates. We just don't know what that is.
Right.
And so I thought that was really fascinating. They are, the revelants.
Replicants.
Replicants, thank you.
You're welcome.
The replicants and the humans are much closer together than maybe we would be comfortable to know.
And that's one of the things that I like, and this happens a lot in sci-fi themes, sci-fi movies, that the big themes get explored through some sort of exploration or the telling of a particular tale. This one happens to focus more on what is it to be human, and also the idea of what do you do when you meet your maker? What do you, like, why would you want to meet your maker? What would you want to do? In this case, Rutger Hauer's character's case, when he meets them, he just wants longer life.
Yeah.
And when told, I can't do that, well, you're my maker, you should be able to do anything. He's like, we tried, this always happened, this happened, I can't do it. And he's like, well, if you can't do it, you're no good to me.
Exactly.
And so I would give in.
You die.
Yeah, I'll give in to what I was built for, which is kind of a murderous rage. So,
fair.
Bye, see ya. But it never really fully answers those questions, it just has conversations about them. And I like that the film does not say, this is what it is, this is what it is. It's like, these are the different angles in a conversation about what it means to be human.
Yeah, it really does set up like these large theme questions for people to have conversations about after the fact.
Yep. Just on a side note, the soundtrack, very, very 80s, but for this film, it works as opposed to being a detraction.
And it's the same guy who did Chariots of Fire.
Is it?
Vangelis.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Then I will give him props for this one. Not for Chariots, but I'll give him props for this one.
It did fit, and it's very interesting because it is a very 80s soundtrack in a futuristic movie, but somehow it fits.
Yeah, it does. It works, and I think it's because just the atmosphere lends itself to not ambient noise, but like chaos and discord, which is kind of what the music was. It was not like lush, pretty, or anything. It was a little bit more than that. All right, so performances. Harrison Ford is fine. In fact, I think he's very, very good. I don't think he's amazing. I think he does his character justice. I think he gives us that particular character very well. It's more the supporting cast that I think that round him out.
I agree, because I always try to look at, could someone else have done this role?
Yeah.
I think about 10 other people could have done Harrison Ford's role and done it fine.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Harrison Ford fan. But then you look at Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
And no one could have done that role, in my mind, as well and as interestingly as he chose to.
And I like how you're introduced to Rutger's character. First it's just a photograph.
Yeah.
Then you see him very briefly.
Yeah.
And then like each time you see his character, the scene is just a little bit longer. And then it's a little bit longer, and then it's a little bit longer until the end. And honestly, I don't know about you, but there are a lot of death scenes, obviously, in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Rutger's death scene is one of my all-time favorites.
It's so quiet.
It's so quiet. There's not a big battle where he gets stabbed or shot or anything. He's holding a dove, and then he just expires.
He shuts down.
Yep.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yep. I thought that was really, really good too. And I really liked his relationship with Daryl Hannah, who I thought was great in this.
Yeah, she was great. I can't remember if this, I think this is before Splash, because Splash came out like 84, 85.
I think it was 81, 82.
Oh, was it?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll have to look that up. You guys let us know.
So this was very,
I thought
very...
Splash was like her first, maybe. But I could be wrong.
It could be. I don't know. We'll have to look it up and
Okay.
find out. But anyway, even, oh my god, I can't remember the actor's name. The guy that played Sebastian.
William Sanderson?
Yeah, the toy maker.
Yeah.
He's been a character actor for
William
years.
Sanderson, hello. There's no impressed that I just pulled that out of... Okay.
No, I was going to do that. Good job.
That is why I can't cure cancer. All of the room in my head is taken up by him, and the reason I know that is because he played Larry as a Larry, my other brother Darryl.
Oh, I'm aware.
Yes, I know. But yeah, I loved him.
He was great. I thought Edward James Olmos, who I've always admired but has been vastly underutilized in a lot of things.
Agree.
He was probably, in my opinion, the standout because he didn't have to do a lot. And in fact, he was silent for most of the film. But when he was on screen, mesmerizing.
Oh, absolutely.
Mesmerizing.
And this was definitely pre-Miami Vice.
Yes.
It had to have been.
Pre-Miami Vice, definitely pre-Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But again, another character actor who is just phenomenal in everything they do and just gets underutilized so much. So all of the people surrounding the story, I think, help keep that story going.
Agree.
Because if it was just Harrison being Harrison and doing a fine job and everybody else was just doing a fine job, this movie, for all of its positives with the world building and the story that's being told, would be almost unwatchable.
It would have been a little flat.
Yes, 100%. But everybody brings and they bring it at the right moments. They're doing just enough to keep, as you like to say, everybody knew their assignment, and they did their assignment beautifully to help keep the story going. Now, that's pretty much all I have to say on this because
Well, you know who you haven't talked about is Sean Young.
Oh, yeah. She, I've never really been a big Sean Young fan. She became kind of like really popular actress in the late 80s, early 90s. Never a huge fan, but I think she is perfectly cast in this role.
I loved the way she moved her body in this because she was very stiff and very formal in her movements so that you could see that she was quite robotic, but her emotions were all there so that you saw that she also thought she was human. So it was very interesting the way she chose to have that kind of very stiff movement.
She's also not subservient like a lot of the others are. She's very challenging, and Tyrell, the maker of all the replicants, did say that was done by design. Like he did not want her to be, to understand that she was a replicant. So he put that in there, which was contrary to a lot of the replicant behavior, which is like, absolutely, I'll do what you tell me kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, she's very challenging. She's accepting, but challenging. She doesn't like to be put in uncomfortable situations or on the spot. We see that throughout her development as this goes on. One of the criticisms has been the love story between the two of them. Was that believable? Was that not? I'm fine with it because not a lot of time is spent on it, but I don't think a lot of time needed to be spent on that for them to get together in the fashion that they did. So I'm fine with that. I don't know about you.
I was fine with it, and the reason I liked it was because of what it brought us at the end of the movie. It was, again, kind of such a big change from the world they were in, the gloom, the doom, the dark, the closed in, to when they get together at the end, it is open fields and mountains and green and bright sunshine, and it just kind of, I think the love story had to be there to go to the next world that they were kind of in. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know that I liked it or didn't like it, but I just thought it was a fascinating just kind of difference between the world they were in and the world they escaped to.
So that version, the theatrical version that ends in the car driving down, is not in the later versions. They actually took that one out.
Really? Okay, because I don't know how I feel about it. All right, interesting.
And I think it was for a lot of those reasons that you mentioned, because it was such a contrast to what they were doing. And so I think what they wanted to do was to leave the implication that they are going to go on and live a different life together, and basically are running away from the rest of the
Yeah.
world. And showing that contrast didn't quite work as well as not showing that contrast.
Interesting. Okay, so how does it end, or what is the end scene?
It's the scene right before they get in the car and drive, so it really, it ends up far more abruptly.
Oh, okay.
Like Rutger dies, there's some sort of quick post scene, which I think is he discovers one of the pieces of origami,
Yes.
and then it ends.
Crumples it. Oh, okay. All right. Interesting.
So part of what you didn't see, and this is some of the, this is why some people like this movie so much, is when it was first released, it was implied or suggested that Harrison's character was in fact a replicant, but there's nothing concrete you can latch onto. It's just kind of like a feeling you
Yeah.
get throughout.
There's like one flash of his eyes
Yeah.
that you can kind of see that it looks like that flash in all of the replicants' eyes.
So one of the big things for replicants is they're relying on a consistent memory or
Mhm.
dream that happens, and that's one of the things they talk about that gives them their character, like we already talked about. For Harrison, he has a particular reoccurring dream, which is called the unicorn dream, which is like, in one version is like 90 seconds long. And it's very clear that he is having this memory that has happened over and over, and it's a fixated memory, which is what replicants do. They fixate on a particular memory.
Oh, okay.
So in that version, it is much more overt that, like, yeah, Harrison.
It's clearly,
Yeah.
okay.
And in fact, so much so that in the sequel, Blade Runner 2049,
Mhm.
it's not even a question. It's just right out of the gate. Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
So all of these things make this an incredibly well-told, enjoyable science fiction movie. And I will put it in as not just a movie, but a science fiction movie.
Yes.
Primarily because of the world that you're inhabiting. Some science fiction movies can just be a good movie.
Mhm.
This one is clearly a science fiction movie, and that is one of the reasons why I like it so much, is because it is one of the top tier science fiction movies of all time.
Yeah, and I can absolutely see that. I think I went into it with expectations of something that didn't deliver because it wasn't going to, and it wasn't supposed to deliver. And it's fair, just not my genre.
Nope,
But
totally.
it was incredibly well executed, and I loved the production design. It was gorgeous.
This is one that I will, like, if I'm in the mood for a good science fiction movie and the things that have been out recently just don't take my interest, I'll be like, I'm just gonna pick a different version of Blade Runner
Nice.
and we'll watch that.
Nice.
Yeah, so there you go. My
Excellent.
number 8, Blade Runner. If you haven't seen it, sorry for spoiling it, but you really should check it out, particularly if you love sci-fi. Later!
Bye.